We have gotten yet more information about Putin's purge of the army. 13 Russian higher officers have been arrested after Wagner's mutiny. Arrested. That means they will probably have criminal charges and they will face prison time, and some of them for a very long time. And in addition to that, 15 officers have been released from their position. So this mutiny really did something horrible to the Russian command structure. It has removed close to 30 higher officers from their position and sown a lot of distrust in the Russian army system. Who do we see on this photo? Well, of course, the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Prigozhin himself. A lot of people make fun of him that, oh, he was about to take over Russia and what he got for it is a lousy tent. If you're moving with your troops or if you're on the front line and if you're sleeping like that, you're sleeping like a king. I mean, look at this guy. He even has an electricity post right here. Some charges fastened to a wooden pole. If I would have had this in the army, ooh, that is luxury life. Peak luxury right there, peak real estate. But I mean, this face is priceless. I gotta give it to you. Okay, sorry, I'll go on with the video. Russian losses of the past 24 hours, 15th of July. 590 KIA liquidated Russian personnel, almost 600. 5 tanks, 11 armored personnel vehicles, most of them done by FPS drones. And then we have 14 artillery systems, 2 anti-aircraft warfare systems, 24 UAVs, 17 vehicles and fuel tanks, and 2 special equipments. Now I know that reading out these losses of the Russian army will get very repetitive as it has been for the last 3 months. But I remember the situation was extremely similar because I was reporting it every day before the Kherson offensive. Ukrainians did not start the offensive for a very long time, and for a very long time they only engaged with artillery. I remember reading those losses every day and the videos were getting very repetitive, and then boom! Suddenly Russian logistics was so bombarded to pieces that they had to pull out from Kherson. This is how it works. Ukrainian warfare right now is an attritional warfare. Yes, they are actively fighting on the front lines also, but the main job is done with artillery. Counter-battery fire. Destroying these artillery pieces and destroying the Russian logistics systems. And I have a tweet I will read to you later that summarizes this topic perfectly. One of the biggest deadlines coming up in 2 days is the ending of the grain deal between Russia and Ukraine. 17th of July is the date when the current grain deal will end, and right now there is no official information about the lengthening of the grain deal. And we all know that Ukraine gets a lot of their country's budget from exporting grain, and not only grain but all agricultural products which are part of the deal. And on this slide I really want to tell that the West and NATO really need to learn one thing from Erdogan. Yes, Erdogan is this and is that, but the one thing he does right and he understands is how to communicate to Russians. See, you cannot talk to Russians like you talk to another NATO country or another democracy. Russia only understands the language of strength. Erdogan's approach to Putin can perfectly be summarized by this video you see here. This is the only thing the Russians understand. And if you talk with this language, they will understand you and they will respect you and you will command them. If you start to talk soft, using means like mutual respect towards the Russians, they will not respect you. Mutual respect only works with NATO countries, democracies, not with Russia. Erdogan knows this. He has been so tough with the Russians. Why is it connected? Because the grain deal. Putin is blackmailing the West right now to get back into the SWIFT banking system. Putin is saying that yes, we will lengthen the grain deal if the West allows us to come back into the SWIFT banking system. Well, the truth is Russia is not the main power anymore on the Black Sea. Now it is Turkey. Erdogan has really shown Turkey from a position of power. They gave the Azovstal commanders back to Ukraine. Although he had a deal with Putin that they will keep them until the war is over. He just breached that deal. It's like a bitch slap to Putin's face. Position of strength, you know. Then he suddenly endorsed Swedish accession into NATO. Another bitch slap to Putin's face. And now the rumor is that what people are saying online is that Turkish warships will be forcing the grain deal to continue. But that is a rumor. There is no official source to it, so don't believe that. Erdogan has not said anything about it. And the thing is, you don't need to do that. Erdogan knows how to handle the Russians. I think the grain deal will be lengthened, and if it won't, Erdogan has a few tricks up his sleeves to play around with the Russians. Alright, let's go back to this guy. Prigozhin, right? I want to show you another photo. This is the highest of the high of Wagner, the supreme commander of the PMC himself. Now let's see the lowest of the low. And here it is. Wagner is a balancing power to the Russian Ministry of Defense. Anyone and everyone who has been offended or turned away by the Russian Ministry of Defense, they will be embraced by Wagner. And it's a lot of these guys. Also look at the tattoos. These are Russian prison tattoos or mafia tattoos. Spider web on the right shoulder means a very specific thing. These guys are lacking teeth. I don't want to judge, but this photo actually tells us more than it just meets the eye. This is the low caste of the fabric of society in Russia. They are outcasts also in Russia, but they're not outcasts in Wagner. Prigozhin has embraced all of these guys. Everyone who has fallen through the cracks of life and they're mad at the system or mad at the Russian system or leadership, Putin has failed them because Putin was supposed to bring Russia out of poverty, which he did a little bit, but not these guys. They still fell through. Well, then Prigozhin comes into play, a balancing power to Putin, and embraces all of these guys, and there's thousands, tens of thousands of these guys. They are loyal, sometimes violent, and if you give them a target, tens of thousands of those in Russia, a target, which is, let's say, Putin or the Ministry of Defense, you get yourself an army. So this photo tells us more than meets the eye. Yesterday, finally, we got an official confirmation that another Wagner convoy has left Russia to Belarus. Here are two different photos of the same convoy. As we can see, they're moving towards Asipovichi. Right now, they are present there already. Information is that it's about 60 cars, among them 10 vans, 3 buses, and a lot of pickup trucks. Why is it still important? People might be thinking, why is he still talking about the mutiny? It's over. Oh, it was all a show. It was a theatrical. It was all a play. It's not that simple, my friends. Even if it was a play, 13 high officers, we're talking about generals and majors, have been arrested. Arrested means they will go to prison. People who have been serving the Russian Ministry of Defense for 30 plus years will go to prison probably for the rest of their lives, all because of this mutiny. Another 15 have been released from their positions. Perhaps these generals were capable, and probably if they don't like the Russian Ministry of Defense and they prefer Wagner, which for they were released from their positions, they are capable. In the last video I reported a general who actually spoke the truth, wanting to improve the situation, giving the grim realities of the front lines to Putin and Gerasimov, lack of ammunition, lack of training, motivation, weaponry, boom, he was released from his position. Of course he would prefer Wagner. This mutiny really hurt the Russian image, and it's still hurting the Russian command structure because they're losing top commanders. Putin himself is sacking them. The effects of this mutiny is not over, and we're beginning to see them more and more with each day. And even if anyone thinks it's a play or a rouge, don't underestimate it. We still don't know what the underlying effects of it is, the long-lasting consequences. Yesterday, Putin made an interview with the magazine Kommersant, and he said that PMC Wagner does not exist. He just blatantly said it doesn't exist, that there is no law in Russia to prohibit the existence of private military corporations. But we all remember about 2 weeks ago, he said that Russian government fully funded PMC Wagner, and now he says it doesn't exist. Putin is hopping in and out of different realities. In the reality he was during the interview was that PMC Wagner does not exist. 2 weeks ago he was in a reality that it does exist, and it's fully under the control of the Russian Ministry of Defense, the Russian government, and himself. Now it doesn't exist again. The truth is ever changing in Russia. It is whatever Putin says it is in the moment. It's like 1984. If you have read this book, you remember that there were 3 great superpowers. They were always at war with each other, and it changed like that. And then suddenly the country was allied with another country that they were just at war with, and it had always been like that. There was no past which was different. Well, Putin is really building up that dystopia right now. He's living it. He himself one time believes Wagner is controlled by him and funded by him, another time that it doesn't exist. He can confront the truth however he likes. He is the one who makes it up. But now, my friends, we are going to watch the grim realities of the front line, the very same ones that the general in the last video got dismissed for. Fighters of the 72nd Brigade are burying their comrades and talking about their situation. And some might think, oh, it's not possible. It is. Very simple reality that comes out from this video. It is the reality of the Russian army. If someone sees this video, it is how we bury our guys. who didn't get home, they burned. This is due to the lack of ammo and the drinking vodka, of course. Lack of ammo. Can you imagine Russia? The simplest thing to produce is ammo compared to planes, tanks, and maybe some high-tech military equipment. Ammo. Regular bullets for Kalashnikovs. They're lacking. I mean, I think this doesn't really sink into most people who listen to it. Russia, the biggest country in the world, cannot produce enough ammo for 200,000 men fighting on the front. There is also more to this sentence than meets the eye. This perfectly summarizes the situation in Russian economy. They're unable to produce. The ruble is crashing. There is a deficit of ammo and Kalashnikovs. The crew fully burned in a grad. Film these tubes from grad. Oh, that is left from the grads. Yeah. This is all because of commanders who couldn't do everything on time. They gave no coordinates, no targets. Lads were waiting for targets in the vehicle. They got hit and burned. I'm a deputy platoon commander. I command 5 vehicles. 72nd Brigade is the worst. I am the special platoon squad commander. That's how we bury the guys who didn't get home. And then wives call, Sveta calls asking why didn't keep him alive. They are angry. They're angry at their commanders, and Putin is sacking the top level commanders, making the command structure even worse, and it's bad as it is. These guys were sitting in a vehicle waiting for commands that never came, and then they became a target. That is why I'm saying the worst thing for Ukraine to happen right now would be the dismissal of Shoigu and Gerasimov, because they are incompetent as hell. They are the reason this is happening. So keep this going. One could almost think that Gerasimov and Shoigu are working for Ukrainian intelligence, because they're doing more good for Ukraine than Russia. Come to your senses, commanders. Give us ammo. Give us vehicles. Why send the youth here? People are dying for no reason. People here, they went through Chechnya, then Ukraine first time, Ukraine second time. Did you hear that? This sentence, what I just read, it says so much. Ukraine first time, Ukraine second time. The whole Russian narrative has been that there was no Ukraine first time. 2014, there were no Russians. There were Donetsk and Lugansk fighters who wanted freedom, but actually it was Russians. It was fully Russians in Crimea and Donetsk and Lugansk. And these guys here are saying, yeah, we were there. Ukraine first time, 2014, like the first and the second time, you know, they call it. Of course, this is no information, everybody knows it, but some people in the West still think that it wasn't the Russians, that it really was the Donetsk and Luhansk people. No, it was the Russian soldiers, these guys. They were there, 2014. This is how we live. This is all we have. Carrying around ammo. We have 2 rifles remaining for 22 people. 2 rifles with 22 people. My God. You know, we have a joke in Estonia. I mean, this is not the official information, but the info is we got about 40,000 AK-4s from the Swedish military aid in the 90s. They helped newly re-independence country Estonia out, gave us 40,000 of their decommissioned rifles. They work perfectly. I served with one. Perfect. 40,000. Then we have about 40,000 M16s from America, United States, which are not given to anybody right now. They're just hidden, and this is not the official information. So you take this as a rumor. Then we have Khalils from Israel, and then we have the new weapons Rehi. So we have over 100,000 rifles in Estonia with ammunition, because Sweden also gave us tons, millions of rounds. And our population is about 1.2 million. And the mobilization maximum is about 100,000, maybe a little bit more. It's the absolute maximum. We cannot get any more than that. This is like at the best times. In some situations, let's say we get 50, 60,000 with the mobilization. There could be a possibility for the situation as an Estonian soldier goes into the woods with 2 rifles and no pants. Because we have so many weapons, but the clothing might be an issue. It's a joke. Take it as a joke. And these guys have 2 rifles with 22 people. They forbid us yes, they do forbid them, because if you let these guys out of the front, they want to mutiny and leave the front line. Like, they are keeping these poor guys trapped in the front. Guns in the back, Ukrainians at the front, they're trapped. They're like a meat shield between Ukrainian units and the Russian commanders. We drove to get ammo yesterday. I was the senior. The cars were stopped halfway and turned back. They said no one's going to give us anything, and it's an order from the top. I think how they're going to fight further. Sergei Shoigu, I served with you in the emergency service 96 to 98. So this guy served with Shoigu. I'm gonna now read you a tweet from a Twitter account, Chuck Farrer. You can see his name on the screen if you want, you can go and follow him. Because I think he really summarizes the Ukrainian tactic right now, which some people, my viewers, are thinking it's a repetitive video perhaps. Well, there is a logic to it and it's actually genius. By picking widely dispersed points of contact, Ukraine is making Russia deploy units that are not mutually supporting. When conditions are right, Ukraine can bring superior forces to bear on isolated Russian units. Genius, really. It's also called the rope-a-dope. Ukraine is softly pushing from 10 different locations, forcing Russia to divide their huge vast reserves into smaller pockets, and then, knowing Russian logistics are horrible, divide their logistics also, which they don't have the capacity for, because their truck logistics is just non-existent. And if you have smaller pockets of units, you need truck logistics. And Ukraine is actively dividing the reserves and striking the logistics. So they are dividing Russian units into small areas, into small pockets, and then deploying their reserves to eliminate the pockets. A very good tactic for an overwhelming enemy. Alright, my friends, let's take a quick look on the front lines, and there have been some changes. Let's zoom into Putin. This is the Rehi axis. Some people have said that you get dizzy when I zoom in and out very fast, so I'll try to do it slower for you. Ukraine has been pushing to Putin very steadily for the last 2 weeks actually, and as you can see, this new yellow area, these windbreaks and fields have been liberated. Some Russian positions have been pushed out. Ukrainians are clearing mines from this area right now. Every area and field right like this that will be liberated is filled to the brink with anti-tank and anti-personnel mines, so a mine clearing vehicle has to go zigzagging like that throughout the entire field for it to be useful. Later, when reserves need to be deployed fast, they can just go through these fields. Right now it would be dangerous. And now, my friends, let's go to Bakhmut. Ukrainians have liberated bigger areas of fields. You can see them right now. They're west from Andrivka, this settlement right here. All of these fields, windbreaks, again, filled with mines, have to be cleared from mines before some reserves can be moved over them. But as we can see, this is the Donbas Canal. And the front line from Kurdyumivka and south follows the Donbas Canal. Ukrainians are not able to breach it right now. But what they're doing, they have already breached it from the north, and they're pushing south from the north. Maybe taking Andrivka, and then Kurdyumivka would face surroundings. So they don't really need to force the Donbas Canal from the Kurdyumivka area. Of course, battles are going on with this small land corridor, but they have been going on for about 1.5 weeks, and Ukrainians have not been able to push through. Now, my friends, I will show you a video again translated by Dmitry of a Russian Spetsnaz soldier showing us how not to use a mortar. Mortar ready for us, for Spetsnaz. He put it in the wrong way. I mean, I'm not sure if it would have blown, if he would have released it, but if he would have blown, they would all... I mean, this is ammunition boxes right here. They would have all died. Whoa, what are you doing? It's not ready. Turns it around, right? Bro, are you crazy? Giggles. What are you laughing at? And again he puts it at the wrong way, and he's like, "Stoy, stoy," which is stop or stand, because we're all gonna die if you do this. Another thing, I was never an artilleryman, but I know in war things like the rules fly out of the window. But is the ammunition boxes supposed to be so close to the mortar system? 1 meter? Is that really the like? Artillerymen in the comments, put in what is the minimum difference, war zone or not, that you would put ammunition boxes to the mortar system. Get out of here. He almost blew the entire thing. 2 times in a row. They showed him how to do it. He still blew it. My friends, now it's time to thank the Patreons. My Patreon is very simple. If you like my channel, you can become a patron. The options start from $1, maybe 5, maybe 10. If you become a tier 10 patron, I'll be reading your name with an Estonian pronunciation. But even this $1, it really enlightens me, because I see your name and I see a person supporting me and my work, and it really motivates me. So I want to thank even those guys who give $1 a month. Thank you very much. But now I'm going to read 5 tier 10 Patreons. The Captain IT Helpdesk. What the hell, man? What? Your mother gave you that name? What? Alp Zero, Chris Poore, Eagle 0308, Aleksander Puelakher, Thank you to these 5 people. I appreciate you. Also check out my Instagram because I'm regularly visiting Ukraine and most of my trips are up there. You see stories, you see interviews, you see weapons shooting, weapons training with Ukrainian soldiers, a lot of cool stuff. I'll see you there. Until my next video, my friends, Slava Ukraini.